Alright, I'm going to be talking about my experience working at Walmart overnight. So basically I got fired from my previous job at Whole Foods. I applied to Walmart, and the next day I got an email saying I was hired, and it gave me my orientation date, right? I went into orientation. The email said I would get like my schedule and stuff. We did some training, and at orientation I met the people lead, which is basically like the HR person. He's in charge of like scheduling and stuff like that. And we're gonna call him Suave. And when I got to orientation, we had to watch like a bunch of like hiring videos and stuff like that. But Suave, he kept like leaving out. We was there for about like 4 hours or something, but he kept leaving, and he looked like so stressed out. He looked stressed out. So Suave came back like a couple of hours later. He was like, "Sorry guys, y'all gotta come back tomorrow because it's a lot going on right now." So we had to come back tomorrow, like the next day. Most of them folks, like people that was in orientation with me, it was like, no, I cannot come back tomorrow. Orientation was today. I have, children to take care of. I gotta take them to school, stuff like that. So people made arrangements for orientation to be on that day. So I go in the next day. I go in the back room. Employees turning their heads like, who is she? Like, it was just looking at me and shit. I'm like, is Suave here? Like, he told me to come back today for orientation. I go to the ad office. I didn't really know what the ad office was. I'm thinking it means administrative office, but the ad office was janky as hell. Like, it had like a blanket up to the window so you couldn't really see in it. Like, it had like a blanket and like some type of fabric up to the window so you couldn't see who was in the ad office. Like, you had to knock. You didn't know who was in there, what they was doing. If the door was open, okay, cool, you can just walk in. But if the door is closed, you don't know like what's going on in there. Like, it was just like so ghetto to me. Like, why the fuck do you have like a Mickey Mouse blanket up to the fucking office? You know what I mean? Like, come on, dog. Like, it's Walmart. You can easily go get a fucking cardboard box or something to put up to the door, not a fucking like blanket. Like, what the fuck? So I'm asking all the employees, like, where is Suave? Because he's not in the ad office. Like, do you know what Suave is? Suave told me to come here. Do you know what Suave is? So eventually I asked the lady, and this lady pages him, and he said he'll be back there shortly. I had to wait in like the room where we was watching the videos at. I had to wait in that room for like 30 minutes because I guess Suave was busy again. So eventually he comes back there and he's like, "You're gonna be here all day. We have some CDLs to do." I don't know what CDLs stand for. I know it means something about learning. So he gives me my login information for the computer, and I'm sitting there for about 4 hours just watching the videos, doing the learnings, doing all the activities and stuff like that. And I wait a little while thinking he would come back because, I don't know, like, I'm a new employee. I don't know nothing about Walmart at all. So he doesn't come back to check on me. I left from doing my learnings and shit, and I started looking for him again. So I get up and go to the ad office, and he's there. He's like surprised that I got done so fast. He's like, "You're done?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm done." Then he says, "Okay, well, that's it." And so I'm like, "Do I have a schedule? Like, when do I start?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, you don't have a schedule yet?" I'm like, "No, I don't have a schedule." He was like, "You can start tonight if you want." And mind you, like, I applied for the overnight position, so I had to work at night. And I didn't mind because, I didn't have anything else to do. That was like my first taste of the unorganization of Walmart, of this particular Walmart. I guess all Walmarts are like this, honestly. But he's like, "You want to come in tonight?" I'm like, "Okay." So like, I'm like, who do I ask for? Like, I don't know none of the overnight managers, nothing. Like, I'm supposed to walk in and start? Like, give me some names or something, dude. I had to ask him what time to come in. I had to ask him who are the managers, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know, and he wasn't telling me. I was the one asking everything when he should have been the one to tell me, like, "Dude, you hired me." So he pulls out a blank sheet of paper and he writes down all of the managers' names. They don't call them managers at Walmart, they call them team leads and coaches. They have this thing like, I don't know, it's like sportsmanship or some shit, but it's like, I don't know, fucking team lead coaches. And I guess we would have fucking played it, but I don't know. So he writes down 4 names. I guess it's 4 managers, 4 upper people over the overnight associates. So the first person I'm going to talk, the first person who is over everybody in the store that's overnight is the coach. But for this video, I'm going to call him the general. I'm not going to use nobody's real name. I'm just going to call him general. Then the next person, I'm gonna call her Yoda, because she always had on some type of baby Yoda clothing. Like, eventually she got fired. I'm gonna talk about that later on in the video, but we just gonna call her Yoda for right now. Then there was James. I'm gonna call him James. And then the next person is AM. All these people are under general, but they are over the overnight associate. They were over me. I was just a regular associate, but they were over me, but under general. They were basically like assistant managers, and he was a manager, but not really like a manager. So he writes all their names down, and I really don't know what to expect. All I have are these names and the time I'm supposed to come in. And before I left the ad office, I asked him about direct deposit, because I mean, I'm not working here free. Like, how do I set up my direct deposit? He was like, oh, just ask them tonight. Like, they'll help you tonight. I'm like, okay. But usually HR managers are overpaid and shit like that. So I go in at night at 10 o'clock and the store was still open. The store didn't close till like 11, I think. Did the store close at 11? Yeah, the store closed at 11. The store closed at 11. I'm heading to the back because that's the only part of the store that I know that associates go to. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just stand around on the floor. I had to go to the back. And I see this boy. He was leaning like on the shelf, not doing shit, just standing there. And I see he has a Walmart name badge on. So I'm like, hey, do you know where the overnight managers are? He's like, oh, I'm one of them. You're new? He was like, you're new? This your first day? Let me show you how to clock in. I'm like, okay. So he takes me back to where the computers were, where I did the CDLs, right? He shows me how to clock in. And then I asked him about direct deposit. He helped me set that up. And this person is AM. And at first glance, I'm thinking like AM is probably like 17, 18 years old, but he was a lot older than that. So AM takes me back to the computer room, but he leaves me, and I'm there by myself. So he leaves me, but I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know, like, I'm just sitting there. So AM walks past me, but this time he walks past me with James, who was another team lead. James is probably in his mid-30s at the most. He might be in his 40s. I doubt he was in his 40s. AM introduces me to James. James is like, oh, you're a new associate, blah, 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 blah. We're about to have a meeting in the break room. So every night at 10 o'clock, they would have a meeting with all the overnight associates in the break room, just telling us like what the night would consist of.
I come in here and I can sit down and speak, but I come in something 8 o'clock, boom. As I come in here, I get 3, I stop. I talk to Stacy. If I'm coming to the he comes in, he sees me now, I'm always working. I mean, everybody understands. So don't take it personally, because I'm not going to take it personally. Now, you get back to me all day, I can hold my own. I can talk to him all day. He understands. You got to get to that $5-6 a night quota, and everybody's not there. So this load, like from here until maybe the first, we can get to the first week of January, we'll be seeing this type of rates, type of freight, type of customers coming in, 5 to 6 at a time, and all type of stuff. So just keep that same energy. Remember, quota average of 6 or 5 or 6. But our priorities are very not picking on one particular person or group of people. That's just what the expectations. They look at the hours. They say we have the hours to do certain things. So when they come in, the store need to look like we had the hours to do a couple of things. And again, he's saying, hey, it's been 4 hours, Miss Deborah, and you on probably number 2. I don't have that energy, don't have the time, my mind ain't right when it comes to doing stuff.
I walked in that break room, I saw so many sketchy people. So many sketchy people. The thing about Walmart is like, you never know who you might be working next to. Like, you might be working next to a damn child molester, anything, because Walmart hires felons. So you don't know who you working next to. But there was a lot of older people that worked there too. Like, everybody was old. I mean, there was some young people, but for the most part, everybody was old. Like, old. It was like older women, older men. But I mean, do what you gotta do to make your money, man. Like, it just could be me. I couldn't envision myself being 60 years old throwing shit up on the shelf at Walmart. Like, when I'm 60, I'm gonna be on a porch somewhere in a rocking chair drinking sweet tea. So AM and James, they just telling us like what the night consisted of, how many pounds there were, what department was heavy, you know, shit like that. So they dismissed the meeting and everybody goes to their area that they usually go to. Again, I'm new. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Like, everybody's going to like the floor, like the sales floor. And I'm just standing there. Like, I'm standing on the sales floor, but like where the back room is, if that makes sense. Like the beginning of the back room, but on the sales floor. And AM comes by, he was like, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing? I'm like, no. He was like, do you want to go to HBA or do you want to go to grocery? I looked at him like he was crazy. I'm like, HBA. In my head, I'm thinking like HVA, like heating and air. What the fuck is HVA? I never heard of that in my life. Like, heating and cooling, like what? And for the longest time, I did not know what HBA mean. Eventually, I just thought about it, and it means health and beauty. But anyway, I told her I want to go to grocery because that's what I know. Like, I worked at Whole Foods, I worked at Kroger, like I know grocery. So, and this was doing like October, so like Thanksgiving was coming up, Christmas was coming up, so groceries like really, really heavy, like hella pallets, hella shit on the floor. Grocery was heavy during this time. And at Walmart, they had these things called top stock. Wow. At Walmart, they had these things called top stock carts. It's a cart with 3 shelves on it, but it has a ladder on it so you can get to the top of the shelves. So basically, all night I'm just taking things off the pallet, putting it on the top stock cart, putting it on the shelf, going to the next aisle, putting it on the shelf, going back to the pallet, loading up the cart, putting it on the shelf. All night, just walk around the store, just put shit on the shelf, finding where shit goes. And mind you, it was my first night, and I'm killing it, nigga. Like, I was fast as hell. Like I said, a lot of older people worked there, so like they were moving kind of slow. They was like, you came from the daytime, like you know where all this stuff go. You must have worked for Walmart before. Like, no, just literally put the stuff on the shelf, match the UPC code up, and put it on the shelf. That's it. That's all. Like, that was the job every night you did. Like, that was the job every night. You find the aisle where the product goes, find the section on that aisle, look at the UPC code, and put it on the shelf. All night long. That's it. Well, not all night long. I'm gonna get to some other shit we used to do. Just hold on. And then we also had other meetings too, like they call it Action Alley. I did not like that word. It's another Walmart slang that I had to figure out what that meant. Action Alley. Again, all these abbreviations and catchphrases, like, that's one thing about Walmart. When you start working there, you're gonna have to learn the lingo. You're gonna have to ask people what the lingo means, because for the longest time, I did not know what these folks was talking about. So like, James, he would get on the intercom, he would be like, attention all overnight associates, attention all overnight associates. I need all overnight associates to Action Alley. And the first time I heard it, I'm like, Action Alley? What the fuck is that? And for a minute, I thought he was saying actuality. But I figured out they called it this because it's basically like the outside aisles of the store. Not the aisles, but the outside of the aisles. It's basically like where seasonal stuff go, or like where sale items go. Like, again, I worked there during October, so Thanksgiving was coming up. So it would be like a bunch of sugar in Actionality, seasoning, mushroom, like cream of mushroom, chicken of mushroom, just things that's like seasonal for the season type shit that people needed. You know, I also worked at Best Buy, and they called their Action Alley, they called it a racetrack, which made a little bit more sense to me, because it's like the outside, it's basically like the outside aisles, you know what I mean? And you can easily run across that shit like a racetrack, like just go around like a racetrack. Not Action Alley. Action Alley? Like, can y'all come up with a better name? Action Alley. What the fuck? So when they call these meetings in Action Alley, the coaches and team leads would basically tell us how bad of a job we was doing and how good of a job we were doing. I have several videos of those Action Alley meetings.
Extra 10 minutes on their breaks. Well, if you're not back in your area at that 15 mark or that time it takes for y'all to get there, then that's a problem. Y'all have a 15-minute break. Like I said last time, 2.5 minutes to get there, 2.5 minutes to get back. Whatever you do within that time, that's on y'all. If you can snap your fingers and get back to where you need to be, that's fine. But I need y'all to start moving on time. We cannot do this. We cannot continue to do this at all.
Too much dragging, man.
We cannot continue to do this. So I'm letting y'all know now, going forward, if I have a problem with your promptness, you being somewhere on time, I am coaching. I am not giving. This is my final warning about that. I'm not playing with time. Mario, please don't walk away from my meeting. Mario, go clock out. Go ahead and do your thing. I'm gonna clock him out.
Y'all can get to work. 6 o'clock, every car.
This is not a conversation. This is a conversation for a team. Usually when team members affect team wins, those team members get benched. This is an any sport. I'm going to tell you, I'm not asking you anything. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on in dairy when it's frozen. I don't know what's going on in frozen, but only one associate is there. I don't know what's going on in dairy, but only one associate.
But I just feel like you can't go into an overnight job giving the same energy that you give every night, if that makes sense. Like, you might have a light night, not a lot of pallets, an easy night, but the next night you may have 11 pallets, and the coach is getting mad because you can't finish the pallets. Like, dog, like, it's only like 7 associates here. The thing about it was, this Walmart was very understaffed. They would always fire people. Like, for me, I didn't even have an interview, so I could have been crazy, you know what I mean? But they hired me though. And another thing is, like I said, most of the associates were older people, older men, older women, and they can't really like see the UPC codes to put them on the shelf. They moving slow as hell. They want to talk all night long. And the thing about it, when they talk, they stop what they doing. They'll stand there and talk for 30 minutes, not doing shit. Just stand there talking. And then another thing is, this Walmart, it was full of J's. And when I say J's, I mean junkies, like drunk people, crackheads, weed heads, like everybody was on something. Even the fucking team leads and the coaches, like everybody was on some, just not weed, but I mean booger sugar, shooting shit up their veins, smoking out of pipes. Like, when I first started working there, General, who was over everybody in the store at night, he was high as hell. He was just floating the entire shift. Like, oh my God, this man is really high as fuck on the job. And this wasn't like no weed high. He was high, like, or I know it wasn't no weed though, for sure. Weed don't make you act like that. Like I said, we would have these meetings in the break room. General would come in there high as hell. He would have his eyes closed the entire time, just telling us. He would be rubbing his chest and shit. He'd be like,
"So tonight, guys."
And he would just lose his train of thought and he'd be like,
Tonight we,
like, he would just forget shit. Like, he would just always like forget shit. His eyes were always closed. His head was always back. He was always rubbing his stomach. He'd be like,
"So tonight, y'all, we got like, what do we got tonight, y'all? Help me out here."
And for me, like, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I didn't know he was like high. I think this is how he act. That's my first impression of him. Like, I don't know how this man act for real. it's like you got rank at Walmart. You just not a regular associate, and you come in high as fuck like that. Like, come on, dog. And all the other associates would just talk shit about him. Like, they'll be like, man, that nigga high as hell, ain't he? That nigga, he on something bad, ain't he? They'd be like, they'll talk about his nails and shit, cause he had like other health issues and shit too. They'll be like, damn, his nails black as hell. I wonder how his toes look. Like, what's up with the nigga, man? Baby Yoda used to be high as hell too. I seen that shit with my own eyes. But eventually Baby Yoda got fired. I don't know why. I didn't ask around. I don't know why she got fired. Maybe it was because of drugs. I do not know. I know she was supposed to make my schedule and she fucked up my schedule. She didn't even make my schedule because she got fired. She came up, she was in the ad outfit. She's like, come on, Mesha, you want Fridays and Saturdays off? Like, hell yeah, I want Fridays and Saturdays off. Like, what? So she was like, I'm gonna write it down and give it to Suave, the HR manager and shit like that. I'm like, okay, cool. And she was like, and we gonna call you later on, cause Suave don't come in till like 8 o'clock or something. I'm like, okay, cool. She was just like, yeah, so stay by your phone and shit like that, cause we gonna call you just to go over everything. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm about to have Fridays and Saturdays off. Okay, cool. So I go home. It's 7 o'clock. We all the associates are scheduled to leave at 7 a.m. So I go home, take my shower, you know, charge my phone up because I'm expecting the call. 7 o'clock, go home. 8 o'clock, go by. I'm expecting the phone call. She doesn't call me. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I'm like, she is not gonna call me. Like, she's not gonna call me. That was my last time seeing Baby Yoda. She never called. That was my last time seeing her. She got fired. And I never got the schedule I wanted. And another thing about Baby Yoda, how the Walmart I worked at, how the parking lot was set up, it was like only a few parking spaces in front of the store and a parking garage under the store. So when I first started working there, I always parked in the front. I don't know why, I just parked in the front, because like I could just, whenever it's time to go to break, I could just go straight to my car. I didn't have to worry about walking down those steps, walking up those steps, just walk straight out the store and go to my car type shit. I didn't have to, you know what I mean? It was less time for me. So one time during my break, I go to sleep, I set an alarm, my alarm goes off, I'm headed back in the store to go back to work. But I see Baby Yoda sitting in the janitor's car. While working there, I learned what cars everybody drove. I don't know why, I just know what cars everybody drove. But she was sitting in the janitor's car. She was sitting in the janitor's car, and she's like, I'm walking back into the store. She's like, come here, Mesha, come here. And she has a glass pipe in her hand, like an actual crack pipe. Like, what the fuck? And she's like, she lighted this shit up. She like, all right, when you go back in, I want you to start doing returns. And I'm gonna get to returns in a minute. What all returns entails of, like, what I'm gonna get to that. And I'm like, okay, I got you. And I'm like, is this bitch really smoking a crack pipe at work at Walmart? Like, girl, are you dumb? Are you dumb?
Are you dumb?
So returns were basically the stuff that people didn't want. Like, when you were a cashier, people be like, oh, I don't want this no more. So you sit off to the side, right? And people, you know, working in grocery stores, when they don't want something, they tend to put things back where they don't belong. I'm guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want this, put this shit back on the shelf. I don't care where it go, put it back. But at Walmart, people, they call it shopping the store, where you look for stuff that don't belong on the aisle. So they would shop the store all night. Sometimes team leads to do it. Sometimes they had us do it. But they would shop the store, and they would have buggies and buggies and buggies of shit, of just random shit that they've collected throughout the store. And again, I worked during the holiday times, so it was hella people in there. And people, you know, put stuff back where it don't belong. They would always put this stuff up front, in the front of the store at customer service, right? And during like a certain time, probably like 4 or 5 o'clock, they would always separate the returns by what it was. And sometimes it'd be like meat in there, fish, chicken, like all type of shit, like milk, cheese, and this stuff would be out all night long. Like, they called it claims. You just couldn't like throw the claims away. You had like, I don't know, it like had to be scanned out or some shit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The stuff that was good, they would always separate out. Okay, like so they don't try to store this a bunch of shit in one buggy. You know, the buggy is full of stuff that go in HBA, electronic stuff in the buggy, food, all that shit. So they would have to separate it by where it goes, and we would have to put it back on the shelf. Like, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of nasty to me. Like, I know some of the stuff was open, some of the stuff wasn't open, but like still, like they would have like frozen food, milk, cheese, fruit, vegetables, all type of shit. And this shit would be old and stank. Like, that shit just stank so bad. And I remember one time I was separating stuff and it had spilled on my shoes. Like, like that shit just pissed me off like so bad. So basically, the non-perishable items will be put back on the shelves, and the perishable items would be taken to the back. I don't know what they did with them. I don't know, they threw it away. I don't know. I don't know. Just let y'all know, I don't shop at Walmart for groceries, and y'all shouldn't either. Do that shit at your own risk. Go to Publix, go to motherfucking Aldi, go to Lidl, go to motherfucking Kroger, go to Whole Foods, go anywhere but to Walmart to grocery shop. Like, go to Walmart to go for your clothes, goddamn beauty products, shit like that. But for food, no, do not grocery shop at Walmart. So after the holiday season was over, the grocery, they called it freight, which was like the pallets and shit. The grocery freight was really light, and so like we had to go to different departments. So y'all, guess what department I went to? Just guess. I had to go to HB-A. Hated it. Do not recommend. I feel like HBA is the worst department at Walmart, at least in the Walmart that I worked at. I hated that shit. Like, every time I went into Walmart, I just prayed that I did not have to go to HBA. But I don't know, honestly, that made me want to quit. That's one reason why I quit, because I did not like doing no HBA. First of all, the boxes that's on the pallets at HBA, super small, like super duper small. Like, only had like 4 products in it, compared to that grocery where you have a box or something and you got like 16 items in it. In HBA, it's only like 4 items at the most. And again, since the boxes were so small, it would be like a pallet full of like 300 boxes, compared to that grocery where it's only like 79 boxes on the pallet and it's 300 in HBA. Secondly, they have this thing called break pack boxes. Again, Walmart lingo. You gotta learn it when you work there. You gotta learn that lingo. But when they told me about break pack boxes, I'm thinking brake pad box. That's what I'm hearing. Brake pad, like for your car, like brake pads. But brake pack boxes are basically cardboard boxes with Walmart written on it, on the side of it, and they reuse them. They don't throw them away, they just reuse them. And then they had this thing called totes, which was exclusive to HBA. So like when I would go over there, it'd be like 3 pallets with boxes on it, 2 pallets with totes, and another pallet with break pack boxes on it, right? And working in this department, it made me want to quit, because it was like so much shit, but it was like only 4 associates working in that area. And again, it's older people that's working there, like, and they would just gossip and talk shit throughout the night. And so when I was working, I guess the management was on their asses about like HBA, because HBA would never get done. Like, it just would never get done. But when I started working over there, shit was getting done. Like, so they basically came up with the system where they would break down the freight, the boxes. They would take all these buggies, right? And they would put the boxes in the buggies by aisle. So one buggy might have a buggy full of soap, the next one might have a buggy full of deodorant, it might be a buggy full of Epsom salt, it might be a buggy full of shampoo. They broke it down so we could get to it easier, rather than just putting it on a top stop cart and rolling it around all night. Instead of going back and forth to that pallet, we would just get a buggy and put it on the we just get a buggy and put it on that aisle. We'd get done with everything. We would get done with everything. Well, I would get done with everything in like 4 hours. it was much easier. It's a much better system. But again, older people work there, and they were very set in their ways. So they'll be like, what is all these carts? Why are all these carts in the aisle? And what is all this shit on the floor? And I'm not touching any box freight. I don't like this and all this shit. But I would get done with the shit like mad fast. Like, and then there was this Caribbean lady, and I guess HBA was like her thing. Like how at first grocery was my shit, HBA was her shit, and it's always been her shit. So when I came with her, she had like a little attitude, like, why are you over here? You know, you need to talk to James because AM shouldn't put you over here, and I don't know why you're over here. This is different than grocery. Like, I'm the only one knocking down 3 pallets fast as hell. Like, she just lived for Walmart. Like, I said we would leave at 7 o'clock, but she would stay till like 11, 12. Like, I mean, do your thing. Get your money, get your overtime and shit like that. But me personally, I've been here all night. I'm not trying to be here all morning, and then I gotta come back the next night type shit. Like, I don't live for Walmart. I don't live for Walmart. I don't live at Walmart. But we gonna call her Curry. That's what we gonna call her. The Caribbean lady, we gonna call her Curry. Like, she was just so passionate about HBA. Like, she'd be like, you need to zone. Can we stop the freight and can we zone real quick? Can we clean up real quick? I'm like, so basically zoning is just pulling everything to the top of the shelf, like to the front. And she was just so passionate about that shit. Like, girl, like, I'm only here for 8 hours. When 7 o'clock hit, I'm out this bitch. I don't give a fuck about no overtime. I'm trying to go fucking home. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? And I was in school during the time too, so like, I gotta go to class, I gotta get to sleep, and I gotta come back here in a couple of hours type shit. Like, I'm not doing no extra shit. No. Like I said, the system breaking down the boxes only lasted for about 2 weeks because they stopped doing that. Because AM was helping us break down the pallets, but eventually he stopped coming over there, whatever. But I was still working at HBA until I quit. Like, I came from grocery, but I was working at HBA. And I remember one night, it was mad shit. Like, I remember I did like 4 pallets by myself, knocking them hoes down. Then the overstock, I labeled the overstock. I got a motherfucking pallet jack. My first time using the pallet jack, brought to the back of to the back room and put it on the shelves. Like, with overstock, it's a certain system that they had. Like, you had to put the overstock in what they call bins. They wasn't bins. It was like some big ass shelves. I remember doing that. So I did. I stocked the shelves from 4 pallets, labeled the overstock, took the overstock in the back, and put the overstock up all by my fucking self. You know, Curry was hating, trying to take credit. You know, oh, we got done with HBA so fast, and yeah, I did this and I did that. No, baby girl, you did not do shit. And then like the team leads, they started noticing that shit. Like, they'd be like, oh yeah, you going to HBA tonight? You the HBA queen. And I hated that shit because I hated HBA. I hated that shit, man. HBA queen, you going to HBA? You think you'll be done by this time? You think you'll be done by this time? You gonna get it done, Mesha? You gonna get it done? And there was also this daytime coach. Well, I guess it's the morning shift coach. The morning shift coach. She was, I guess like at the same rank as General was, who was the overnight coach. And she was from the Caribbean too, right? And she had this horrible Caribbean accent. Like, you could not understand what the fuck she was saying at all. And she would come in every morning yelling. Like, you knew when she was there just by hearing her. She would get on to like the intercom. Just associates. Thank you. Everybody be like, what the fuck did she say? Who is she talking to? And I remember one time we were zoning, pulling everything to the front of the shelves. And I overhear the employees talking about her. They was like, who does she think she is with that horse hair in her head? And y'all think her butt real or fake? They're like, it gotta be fake. It gotta be fake. They're like, that shit gotta be fake. I don't think it's real at all. They'd be like, you gotta look at her ankles compared to her butt and her thighs. That shit is not real. They would talk so much shit. And like I said, everybody in there was older. So you know older people be talking shit. Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they already done lived their life. They don't care who they offend. Like, they done lived their life already. And there's one more person who I want to talk about before I end this video. It was this janitor. He was from Africa. And I'm just gonna call him Zamunda for the sake of this video. Like I said, I'm not using nobody's name. When I first started working there, I was very friendly. I just spoke to everyone and I acknowledged everyone. Like, I was just being nice. Like, I knew I have to acknowledge everybody. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody to think I'm a bitch or anything like that. So I just spoke to everybody, right? And I always wave at Zamunda because the vibe he gave me is like, he was kind of like timid. And I could tell he didn't really know how to speak English that well. So I was always like wave at him to acknowledge him, right? So I was working in grocery, like I said, when I first started working there. And he would just come down the aisles and like try to talk to me. Like I remember he was just like sneak up on me. It wasn't like no, hey, you know, in passing type shit. He was like, he would sneak up on me type shit. Like, you know, I remember one day I was stocking the shelves at the very bottom of the shelf. I was stocking it, right? And so he comes up and he would like come up, be behind me. Like, I have headphones in, right? So I'm zoned into my work. Like, I'm trying to get the shit done. And he would just like be standing behind me while I'm squatting, bent over. Like, he would be standing directly behind me and he'd be laughing. Like, and I just suddenly turned around and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, he'd be like, oh, did I scare you? I'm like, no, nigga, you didn't scare me. He'd be like, oh, did I scare you? I'm like, no, you didn't scare me. I mean, I'm just surprised that you standing directly behind me while I'm bent over. Like, what the fuck up? Like, what's up? And like, he would just be trying to talk to me. And think about it, like I said, he didn't speak English well, so he honestly sounded like that Normani song where she'd be like, do 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 do. Like, that's exactly how that nigga sounded. Like, he sounded just like that. Like, what are you saying, my nigga? Like, and he knew I didn't understand what he was saying. He got so bad to the point where he started writing me notes, like notes with his phone number type shit on it. You know, and it got to the point where I would try to avoid him. I would see him walk, you know, past the aisle in Action Alley, and I would get up and try to go to another aisle. But somehow he would always end up in front of me. It was like I would try to go around, but he would come around and end up on the same aisle as me again. Like he knew I couldn't understand what he was saying, so he started like writing down these notes and shit. And I remember I told him I had graduated from college. This man gave me a Bible, a book, and $100. Like, I don't know you that well, but I will take this money. I'm not giving you nothing in return, but I sure as hell will take this money from you. You know, it was just kind of weird to me. It's like, I don't know, like, he could have gave me $20, okay. He could have gave me $5, $10, $15, $20. Okay, cool. But $100, nigga, like, and that wasn't like the only money he gave me. Like, while I was working there, he probably gave me well over $200. Just like 15 here, 20 there, 50 here. He would just give me money. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I guess he was being nice, but at the same time, it's like, you're an older man. You're writing me notes. Like, I just got like predator vibes from him. And on one of these notes, he was just like, he wrote down his phone number. He's like, I would love to see some of the videos you made in school, because I went to school for film production, right? He was like, I would love to see some of the videos you've made. Here's my number. Text me some of the stuff that you've done if you want to. Like, Mr. Sir, do you really think I'm about to text you? Like, come on, I understand you being nice. I'm being nice, but I'm not about to text you, dog. Like, hell no. And it got to the point where I was avoiding him. And one day he had pulled me to the side. He was like, am I invading your space? If you have to ask somebody if you're invading their space, 9 times out of 10, you're invading their space. Like, what the fuck? He was like, oh yeah, I'm from Africa, so that's what we do. No, I know plenty of Africans, and they do not act like you at all. Like, what does Africa have to do with your behavior, nigga? Like, what? And I told James and AM about it. They wasn't really true. They was like, you want us to say something about it? Like, he gave me some money and shit like that. I mean, they really wasn't like going as hard as I thought they would, but it is what it is. My whole time, so basically my whole time working at Walmart, I just feel like I didn't belong there. Like, I just felt like it wasn't for me. Like, I don't know, it was just weird to me. Like, I never wanted to work at Walmart. Like I said, I had got fired, so I had got fired from a previous job, so I really didn't have a choice. I mean, I had a choice, but I mean, Walmart answered first. You know, I'd be there, I'd be like, man, I could be asleep, I could be at a party, I could be doing anything, but I'm here at fucking Walmart, stocking the shelves at night. Like, it was just like some days I just do the same thing day in, day out. Well, night in, night out, just watching the clock, just watching the time go down. When fucking 7 o'clock hit, not even 7 o'clock, when 6:51 hit, I clocked out on my phone. That was one of the best features at Walmart, is that you can clock in and out on your phone. You didn't necessarily have to go in the back and clock out. Sometimes I'd be clocking out in the motherfucking parking lot, nigga. Like, I want to go home. I mean, apply to Walmart at your own discretion. Some people like it, some people don't. I mean, it wasn't for me. You know what I mean? I mean, some stores don't be as hectic as this Walmart was. This Walmart was very hectic, especially like towards the 6 o'clock hour, because that's when the store was starting to open up. And sometimes I would go to like other Walmarts during this time when I was off. Go in Walmart at 6 o'clock in the morning, just smooth and quiet. Cause like I said, 6 o'clock is the hour when it's hectic. That's when the stores open up and the associates got one more hour until they leave. Niggas, the fucking coach be on the intercom just yelling at us, do this, do that, do the returns, fucking zone the store, do this, do that, do that, pull any pallets off the floor and trash should be off the floor and all this shit. But you go into other Walmarts, don't nobody be on the intercom like at all. And another thing, like, I noticed is that the team leads and the coaches would get bonuses, but the regular associates didn't get bonuses. Like, we working just as hard as them, if not harder. We're doing the work, but they getting bonuses. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like I should at least got a fucking bonus how I was working, nigga. Like, anything them folks asked me to do, I did it. I didn't want to do it, but I did it with no question. I was fast doing it. They was like, oh, you done with this? Do this. They'll call me on the intercom, Jamisha, please come to so-and-so, come here, come do this, come do that. And I would do it fast as hell. Jamisha, come do the returns. Jamisha, please own up aisle 16 in grocery. Jamisha, please come to houseware. Please come here. Please do that. Please do that. It's just like, dog, like, I'm only one person. It's other people working here. That's one reason why I quit, because of HBA and the way that they like treated me. It's like, yes, I'm a good worker, but damn, like, come on. Anyway, like, that's my story working at Walmart. Do what you want to do. If you want to work at Walmart, work at Walmart.
Are you dumb?